Halo Infinite. So Halo Infinite has had a delay. So we saw a post on the official Halo Twitter site from 343 Industries saying, "Today I want to share an important Halo Infinite development update with the community. We've made the difficult decision to shift our release to 2021 to ensure the team has adequate time to deliver a Halo game experience that meets our vision." And it goes on a bit further, but wow, like this actually kind of blew my mind when this happened. Like I just didn't think that they would allow this to happen. I we didn't kind of mention it, but I had a sense that the game was not going to schedule and it was just going to be a mess at launch, a bit like what happened with MCC Master Chief Collection when it first came out.
Yeah, I'm the same. This of all games to get delayed, I would not have picked it to be Halo Infinite. Not only did they show the game off just a couple of weeks ago and seemed very confident to do so, even though they did say, it's still, in development footage. The fact that, even that recently they were, really kind of positioning this as the big launch title for them to do it. Now, do I think it's a good idea? Yeah. Does it suck for people that were obviously looking forward to getting a Series X and play it on launch? Yeah, it sucks. But it's what's the alternative? To have a broken game, a rush game, and people to just crunch and in the middle of pandemic, I guess development. It's horrible, but if it was necessary, then I think just like when Nintendo has to do the same, delaying games. Just the more if you need more time to work on a game, then take the time. It obviously, I could imagine the amount of marketing money and timeline shifts there that would have to happen. It would not have been an easy decision to make.
Yeah, but it's just my gut reaction straight away was like, "Oh my god, like is this going to kill Xbox?" I know that like that's such an overreaction and I've kind of it settled in my own mind a bit, but it just felt like such a blow. I was like, like what are they launching with? Because I think the context that we should say is that when I heard that it was getting delayed, it actually did make me think, are they going to delay their Series X? But in fact, they've actually come out and said it's coming out in November. So yeah, like what? That means that it has no exclusive titles. Is that correct? That's
Well,
got to
we
be
don't know
correct, right?
yet. They Forza could be an exclusive title. We don't know yet.
Sure,
So
sure.
the thing is, I think this whole trend of there having to be these huge games on launch is only a recent generation trend. Obviously, Super Nintendo, you had Mario World. I'm not going to dispute that that wasn't a huge game to launch with, but they only had four games in total,
Yeah, but
at
dude,
least in
Mario World.
Australia.
Yeah, but Mario
No,
World. Come
I
on.
no, I understand. But when I look at no, but even Xbox One, it didn't have huge titles at like a Halo level title, I should say,
Yeah, but it didn't
right?
do well, right?
Yeah, but they didn't do well for other reasons. I don't think it was the
Mm,
software the problem there. It was the fact that people thought you had to be connected to the internet 24/7 to
yeah,
make the thing work.
bad, 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 bad. Yeah.
So I'm less interested about launch titles, and I know my that's just how I feel, and it is important. I'm not saying it's not. Um, I think they just and hindsight's 2020 on this, but they shouldn't have probably ever pushed it to be a launch title if there wasn't any confidence in it. But they would have known, I guess. And if that was the case, then I don't think anyone would be saying anything about the launch because we'd be in the same position. I don't think people would be like, well, what big game is there? Because we don't even know the launch date yet. And they're going to start announcing some of that stuff a bit more. But it is a huge blow, no doubt about it. I just think that in given the fact that our game libraries, as especially as we all get older, as well, and have more. I say disposable income. Obviously, people are going through very tough times at the moment. But
Mm.
as you said last week, people are buying games
Oh
even in this
yeah.
time, and we've all got so many games to play. I think with Series X, there's going to be games to play on it. You just can't play Halo, which sucks, but they need more time. So I think we just have to, just grin and bear it, unfortunately.
And like I kind of wonder like the logic, of just being in the business meeting room chatting about it. What do we do? Do we push it back? Do we push it out, kind of knowing that it's going to be a bit of a mess, and fix it and kind of cop the PR flack and go, okay, hey guys, we recognize that this isn't quite what we thought it was going to be. This is what we're doing. This is the plan. Because kind of not having it at all, it's going to be hit either way, right? Like this is not a net positive. You can't ever argue this is a net positive. So it's either you launch and it's bad, and does that really just bomb the Series X launch, or do you not have it and then people, because there is a scenario where in December people go, well, wait a second, because you got to think about the retail context as well. People go, oh, so I'm going to buy the Series X. What games does it have on it? Or nothing. Like literally, like that we know of, like no, and it doesn't feel like there's going to be a big name. Whereas my understanding is that Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be available for the PS5 on launch, and that like
Well, that's why I
Spider-Man's a big
said
game, dude.
we, but we don't know yet, and that's why I mentioned Forza,
Yeah,
because as much as we may not be interested in it, that is a big name for a lot of people.
yeah,
Is it enough to save a launch from being a bit of a bit lackluster? Maybe not, but that's why I mentioned the previous generations. Not every generation has always had the killer app on launch. A lot of the killer apps tend to come within the first 6 months, basically. Like that's
sure,
when I think you start picking up people that aren't those launch day buyers. And in terms of not being net positive, 100% from a launch standpoint, but when we're talking about the game itself, because this ultimately to me, the more interesting story here is about Halo Infinite, not the actual launch, which is probably the opposite of maybe
sure,
what you're thinking. Um, it's better for the game because the alternative is obviously also and we're going to mention what Phil Spencer kind of said about it as well, but if they'd split it up and launched it, for instance, with multiplayer, because that probably would have made the most sense if you're going to do it that way.